Inside the quarantine, I'm Michael Magid. That's gonna be the new name of the show. Inside the quarantine goalkeeping podcast.
No.
Welcome to Inside the 18, guys. I'm Michael Magid. With me is 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, and joining us today on his porch in a lovely, lovely southern day is Sporting KC 2 goalkeeper coach Mitch Hildebrandt. Hildy, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's gonna be fun.
I love that you have a rocking chair.
Dude, that's the best.
I mean,
retirement is good.
Retirement is great. You don't have to sit up straight. You get to rock. Retirement's fantastic.
You get to do whatever you want, dude. And you know what? Nothing says goalkeeping and professional training like sitting in a rocking chair, on a porch on a lovely Sunday afternoon. That
I'm making up for lost time, guys. Come on.
You got to, dude. You got to. Shout out to, first off, all the goalkeepers, all the insiders out there who've been training hard during the quarantine, during the lockdown, whatever you want to call it. Thank you for submitting your videos. We've been posting them up on the social medias. You guys are working hard. You guys are working safe, which is something that Saskia and I, we've discussed in regards to making sure that if you're going to keep training, do it safe. You never know who you could affect, even if it's not yourself in person. You might be affecting somebody that you know. So let's just be smart about it, but still keep working hard, So I love that. Thank you for all the goalkeepers, all the insiders who've been leaving the reviews. Like I've been saying to everybody, you've got nothing else to do right now. Just go on the Inside the 18 on Apple iTunes, leave a review, 5 stars most likely, and tell us what you enjoy about the show. Leave your social media handle. We'll follow you back. You're eligible for prizes. It literally takes 30 seconds. Like, Mitch could leave one right now, and while he's doing the podcast, and we would have no idea. That's how fast it happens. Yeah.
Prize.
What's the prize?
The prize is another rocking chair, dude.
Yeah. It's a sideline rocking chair. That's what we gotta make the sideline rocking chair.
Oh man, if I could take those to the game instead of the bench. The best thing are those lazy boy bench chairs that they have now. Those are great.
Dude, those are definitely the best. I like the ones where when you rock, it does not let you go all the way back, so it slings you back. But because I have this tendency when I get I'm doing it right now in the chair right now, and I'm not even in a rocking chair, is I'll lean back like this, and then it'll come from underneath me, and I'll fall over, and that would probably make great television right now, actually. So, but
it really would.
Yeah.
I don't sit during a game. I don't know what you guys are doing.
You don't sit during the game?
Well, for our club games, we have these fold-out chairs that they fit little kids. So yeah. I gotta wander around. But I sit for the other games. I was just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you doing the whole 90 minutes? Just getting my steps in.
Pacing.
She's just pacing.
Pacing. I'm a pacer.
Let's get right into this, guys. We don't want to keep Mitch too long. We all have a lot of things to do,
I got so much to do right now. This is the highlight of my day. You gotta maybe wait until 6.
Hold on. Dude.
Why do I play until 6? What are you guys doing?
That was on me. Sorry.
Wait, hold on. For a second, I thought you were drinking sweet tea, dude, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so much better." If you have sweet tea,
it's getting better.
That would be incredible if you had sweet tea. So first off, guys, we got some insider questions here before we get into today's topic. Today's topic is going to be running Zoom sessions, running Zoom presentations, all that sort of fun jazz. Literally, people have been contacting me, whether it's parents, coaches, players. How do we do things right now? How do we do things over Zoom? Everyone's on Zoom right now. How do I make this work? I'm seeing some sessions out there that let's just say you need to figure it out a little more productive way to do it. So we're going to be here to step in and help you guys.
Better than I am.
I know. Saskia's, by the way, that was so funny. It's like when
I'm brutal.
You were saying earlier that there was a Zoom thing that you were going to do that Haley Carter, a friend of the show as well, was going on. And I was like, if it's going to be Haley and Saskia at the same time, that's too much opinion at one time. So you got to spread that out. One week and another week, that sort of thing. That's how I have to do that. All right. So this first one comes from Alex Cramphouse, Cincy Training Camp on social media. And he goes, and this question is definitely for Saskia. It goes, Mitch, did you enjoy did you enjoy playing in Cincinnati? And if you could change anything about your time there, what would you do?
Saskia, what would you do?
I love Cincinnati. Heather Mitz is from Ohio, so I mean, one of the greatest defenders ever. So I would love playing there. No idea. This is your question, Mitch.
And the new
I just gave a shout out to Heather Mitz, though.
The new golden child of women's soccer is from Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right, Rose.
Yeah,
that's right. And remember, I'm old, so that's why I said Heather Mitz.
That's not old. No, it's what I enjoyed I can't pick out what I enjoyed the most. I've been very blessed with where I played, Minnesota, Cincinnati, and Atlanta, and now my first coaching stint in Cincinnati or in Kansas City. I've played for some great clubs with great people, the fans, the front office, the team. I can't say enough, and especially Cincinnati. The people there are just the nicest people, and I still get people that reach out to me, and it makes it kind of worth it, because it's not just a sport. It's a lifestyle. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a togetherness. Once you're kind of in, you're in. So I think there's nothing really that I would change. There's nothing that I would there's more stuff that I missed than I wish that I could change.
Well, I mean, like Cincinnati, Kansas City, Atlanta, you've played in some of like the meccas of like American soccer, period. And that must be awesome. There's not like, it's not the hustle and bustle of so many other teams and so many other things going on in other places. It's a way of lifestyle. And from when I played club and traveling to all those states and all those cities, you knew that and you felt that. And that must have been amazing getting to play in all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you said, the mecca of, I mean, we never knew that Cincinnati was going to be a mecca of soccer. And I guess Atlanta for a long time, but things are changing. And like I said, I've been super blessed to play where I have, and my career took me to where I was. And I mean, even just going to Atlanta, obviously with Brad there and Alec was there for a while, I was kind of being brought in as the presumptive number 3. And, I still got welcomed with open arms. They welcomed me and my wife, and they knew everything about me coming in. And it was just, Carlos and everybody in the front office was fantastic. So very blessed for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Alex. Alex is like, dude, I thought he was going to say something specific about the chili, or, that he would have changed a recipe.
Yeah, I can't do that. I never tried it.
You never tried the chili? Okay. Isn't that's what it's known for though, right? Isn't that what Cincy's known for? It's the chili, right?
Gold Star and Skyline chili, never tried it. And I get battered every time.
Stop admitting it then.
Well, that's for that reason.
Just stop telling that to people. All right. Let's move on to this next question right here. This is from Chris Yarnell. And he goes, my name is Chris, and I coach keepers for a small club just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Issue I run into is with the board of directors of the club is they don't have much experience dealing with goalkeepers, and they don't see the value in having multiple goalkeeper coaches. I've always thought that to get the most out of a session, that the ideal goalkeeper to coach ratio should be 4:6-1 and shouldn't exceed 8-1. What are your thoughts and suggestions on how I can better put together a proper program despite our issues here?
I think we just talked about that in our last cast, that we thought that ratio of 6-1 was kind of the ideal ratio.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a bigger issue with clubs and stuff like that, whether it's like, economic and stuff like that, having multiple goalkeeper coaches for however many teams that are in the club. What we do here with my club is I make sure that at least twice a week I'm with each age group, each team. And I get about 45 minutes in with them. And it works out well because basically I take the goalkeepers, I warm them up, I take them through what I've gone over with the coaches from what's going on the weekends and the games. I've made up, a plan, and then I send them back to their teams, and then I bounce between teams and watch them in their drills with their teams that their coaches now have organized that their goalkeepers are coming back. So the first 45 minutes, the teams are doing their whatever they're doing, they're serving, their footwork and stuff, and we're with the keepers. And then I send them back, and then once a week on a Friday, for an hour, for 3-hour stints, an hour, is just a goalkeeper clinic for us. And so I have the younger ones to the intermediates to the olders. So it's really finding a way to manipulate your time with not having a goalkeeping staff to be there every day and getting the most out of that time that you can find. That's how we're doing it here.
Yeah. Mitch, anything and to add? I know that you spent a little bit of time with a smaller club in Livonia, and that you faced the same kind of struggles there, right?
Livonia?
Livonia. Yeah.
Okay, I can't talk about Livonia.
Um,
I lost the national championship when I was 17 years old to the Livonia Hawks.
Yeah.
And I
was wolves, so they're practically like sisters, So.
And I've never gotten over it.
Man,
and neither has Julie Foudy, because we beat Mission Viejo in the semifinals, and they outshot us 16-2, and we won. And so there's a long history, but Livonia gives me a kick.
If anybody ever tells you the unimportance of club soccer, just go and talk to 2 women that have won the World Cup, and they're still talking about what
still talking about it. I can give Julie Foudy grief about beating her in that semifinal till the day I die. I swear, and she's still mad about it. She's still mad about it to this day. But yes, Livonia Hawks, I'm still mad at you. Sorry, back to the question, but I knew this was.
I love that. That's a great story. I love that.
Well, honestly, I was going to tell Chris, I was like, we did an episode with Northern Ireland Goalkeeping Institute where we actually literally talked about how to run training sessions with large numbers of goalkeepers. So I would suggest for him to go back and listen to that episode, check out that episode, because we explain a lot of it right there. And I appreciate the questions. Don't get me wrong. Guys, in the future now, because we're getting a lot of really good questions coming in, if you can try to start getting the questions to gear towards the topic that we're going to be discussing for the episode, would be fantastic. Otherwise, we'll vault these and maybe we'll mention them. Somebody sent in 17 today, and I was like, dude, then
I love that.
That's great. No, I love the fact that people want that type of information, but we're only going to so much time with Mitch right now. I mean, like, what are we gonna have him here all day on his rocking chair? So.
I'm still mad about Livonia right now. You've lost me for the show.
Human right now. She just drug up all this pent up.
You did. And if Julie's watching, because she does her podcast, I'm like still mad about it. I know you're still mad about it. I'm mad about Livonia. You're mad at me.
I
did a comedy show in Livonia, Michigan.
Daniel Egan, who we were talking about earlier, was on that team as well. Claudio Rena's wife. So.
Oh wow. She was on the team.
Yeah, it all comes around on the club team. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this next question from Broward Marion, I think it is, Broward C. Marion. And by the way, Broward, thank you so much for saying on the live stream. Sorry about being late. We were finishing up some strength workouts with your boys. Shout out to you for saying that. That's very nice of you to tell us that you weren't here at 3:00 on the dot. Otherwise, we were never going to answer this question if you weren't here at 3:00 on the dot. No, totally kidding. We appreciate all the support, man. You're a big time insider. This question comes from him, and it's a great way for us to segue into today's topic. And he wants to know about good sources of video to train with, how to break down positioning, and what to look for to show keepers so they can go through the mental exercises enough to get that mental/physical memory during this time period. So who wants to start out on that fine topic? Whoever wants to speak.
Okay. Yeah, I think when it comes to breaking down film, you have to have a clear objective on what you're actually looking for. If it's just breaking down the goalkeeper's last game, I mean, obviously we do that here to a T where every single thing, every single action's broken down. Obviously, you might not have the technology or the basis to do that, but that's kind of what we do. But if you're looking at just kind of this quarantine, keeping kids engaged type aspect, what we've decided to do in our club, Sporting Kansas City, is taking all the kids from our youth academy. It's 19s all the way down to 12s, and we've done weekly calls with them, and we'll give them a game. Last week was our game against Houston, and they're watching Tim, and we kind of tell them to just break it down, because a lot of kids don't know the tactical aspect of the game quite yet. I mean, we were talking about it, and I didn't really learn the tactical aspects of soccer until I was a third or 4-year pro. I just knew how to stop a soccer ball. So trying to teach these kids, the tactical aspects when you're not on the field, you can kind of gear things towards different aspects of the game. So we've been asking them to kind of break down the whole game. And obviously they're watching Tim to the most part, but it's to kind of gear them towards, okay, well, what is a defensive breakdown where Tim wasn't involved, or, what was something building out of the back where, maybe there are multiple options when, maybe we just played it short or played it long or whatever, what are the different options to a different tactical situation?
We're doing similar things here with LA Bulls and with UCLA, with our Bulls, they get a game a week, and as a team, like they have to fill out they have to break the game down. And but then aside from that, I send them certain points in the game to focus on, whether it's a build up to a save or a build up to a goal, and they have to analyze that. And on Fridays on our Zoom sessions, we discuss it and break it down, answer questions, get opinions, like, how do you think the positioning was? How do you think the defense was? Like, let's talk about this. So, and it's actually something I don't think any of us got to do that much when the quarantine wasn't going on. And so taking advantage of this and having these kids watch these games and analyze these games from that kind of perspective is everything. I think it's a great tool right now.
Yeah. And one thing I want to bring up too is the fact is that, and I've even spoken to different coaches about this, is that it doesn't have to be recent film. Like people were talking about, Saskia, you were just talking about how a group might have you come out after they're going to watch one of the 99 matches.
Right. I'm doing a Zoom. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It was a surprise. You messed
okay.
up. But
you haven't said anything. They don't even know who
asked, like, because even our teams, they watched the 2011 game against Japan and the United States. So both the men's teams, both the boys teams and the girls teams watched that game and broke it down. And no, it doesn't have to be last year's, EPL final. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be anything like that. You can pick the game that has the most instruction that you want to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, it was so funny. So yesterday I was talking to a kid, a younger kid, about 9 or 10 years old. And I brought up, I was like, you know what, who you should watch based on their footwork is you need to watch Nick Raimondo back in his prime. And he acted like I was talking about like a goalkeeper who was 100 years old. And it was like, the dude just retired last year.
But that's another good thing about this is it's also teaching these young kids, they're learning more about American soccer and about soccer around the world. Because before this, I think you could have stood there and asked some of the kids to name some players, and they couldn't. And a lot of them don't watch soccer the way we watch soccer, and the way we grew up watching it. And I think that now that they have to do this studying, now when I was listening to one of the boys teams, I was on one of their meetings, talk and just spewing out like the names, even like Omar Sawa, for one of my 05 boys players. not a goalkeeper, just a field player, to say, well, I thought Amari Sawa did this, that, and the other. The fact that you now know who Amari Sawa is it's awesome to me. That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's move on into this topic right now here, based on this question. And thank you, Broward, for bringing this up. And in regards to your follow-up question to this, we'll try to answer it during the topic here. Today, we're basically talking about how to run a virtual meeting, how to run a presentation and a session with your goalkeepers. By the way, guys, this is not just regarding the quarantine or the lockdown, because as you know, at the professional level and as you know, at the high level of collegiate coaching, Saskia, that this is integral to the game in general. And if you can't do it right, then you're doing a disservice to your goalkeepers and everyone, to be honest with you, not just the goalkeepers, but the field players too, because now your goalkeepers are ill prepared when they get out there. So let's talk about this. What is the difference between a virtual meeting or session versus in person? And whoever wants to start on that.
Go.
Go ahead.
We're like, pass it off.
Start with the hard one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's the obvious. You know, first of all, the obvious is I'm very technical, and whether it's body weight, whether it's and positioning and everything, and so you lose a little bit of that in a virtual meeting. I like to be there. I like to be on the field. I like to see what's going on. I like to see what builds up to why your positioning was off. Why, you know, are your feet positioned properly? Is your body weight? Is everything? It takes a little bit away from that, but at the same time, it's still such an integral part of what we're going through right now. To be able to see what the keeper is doing, and Mike, you and I talked about this extensively. That, you know, I want to see. We've asked people to send in videos. We can critique them. We can go through it and talk to them about it. Obviously, I think, you know, being there in person and being on the field is, you know, number one, all be all. But I think this has its place as well. We can also go back with this. So if we're doing a virtual meeting and we're recording it and there are questions, we can keep going over it, as opposed to on the field when something is happening in that moment. You can't record it, in a sense. You can't, you know, go back over it and everything. So that has its advantages there. I could sit down later and say, okay, let's rewind this and let's talk about what we were talking about during the virtual session. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? And then they can look at it from that point of view. They can see themselves, as opposed to you can't do that on a field. Yeah.
Mitch, how are you guys going about it at Sporting?
It all depends on the age group, to be fair. You know, most of our guys are just trying to stay active as much as they can. It's very, there's not much that a guy like Tim or Richard, John, you know, the first team guys, or even our second team guys can really do. You're not going to find somebody in their neighborhood that can serve a ball like, you know, Alec or me. So for them, it's mainly just keeping them, keep their mind on the game. But we're in a unique situation because these guys don't get, and coming from a player, you don't get time off ever. And, you know, you play a long season and then you're right back to preseason, especially in the MLS. You know, you get done hopefully the middle of December, and then you start up the second week of January. So some of these guys just need time to rest. But from a meeting standpoint, you know, they're mainly just doing stuff with our strength coaches. And then we do these weekly calls where it's a lot of film work and just kind of keep their mind in tune, because with the older guys, they know how to keep their body in. With the younger guys, that's where we're really taking advantage with Zoom and the video, because our academy goalkeeper coach, Darren, doesn't get a lot of time to go back and like Saskia was saying, you know, do previous stuff with them. You know, I'm able to show my guys, and Alex able to show the first team guys training, because we take training. So we can, you know, go before training. I can show them training from the previous day, and then we can do video afterwards, because, you know, this is their life. With younger kids, you know, their parents are driving them to the facility. Some of our kids are driving 4 or 5 hours one way, to get to training. So
Do you guys have residency or no?
We have host families.
Okay.
But we do have people from, Iowa, the other sides of Kansas and Missouri where they're driving. They're not staying with host families. So we don't have, so we do have kids that drive a lot. So he can't, especially one of our goalkeepers is 4 hours away. So, and he's one of our younger ones. So he's not going to be able to get there, much more early than he actually can. Right. So, this is a unique opportunity for us to show them that way. And we're tailoring our film starting this week towards our academy kids, where we're not just showing them Tim, or we're not just showing them, pro guys. We're actually doing all the stuff, from there. All of our clips are from, our 17s all the way down to our 12s.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And I think sometimes that's a lot of times lost when it comes to youth coaching in regards to showing tape. We've actually talked about this on the show, is that you don't always have to watch tape of older players. Like we've talked about, watching high school kids in your area, watching, college kids in your area, because you can learn from kids who are just even a few years older than you, maybe a little bit more advanced from you, watching mistakes they make too. You can learn a lot from as well too. So I love the fact that you guys are now utilizing the tape of the younger academy kids to work with them.
We're ever since I started, I can't speak enough about our program, but we're in a really unique situation where we have a couple of 12-year-olds that I could throw on the field in the U17 game.
I love
it. We have a very, high pathway, and they've invested a lot in the goalkeeper position to, and Alex done a great job with the curriculum to bring our goalkeepers along from a very young age. So we could show tape on one of our 12, 13, 14-year-old kids to one of our 19s and show them, hey, why aren't you doing this?
Right.
So the disparity between age in our club isn't as different, within the level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I want to talk about this with both you guys here, because this is an issue that I'm seeing with a lot of coaches out there, and they're coming to me, or they're coming to other people that I know and going like, I'm having issues communicating properly with my keepers during the quarantine. And I think it's because there's just a lot of goalkeeper coaches out there who, look, not everyone's as brilliant as like myself or Saskia or yourself, Mitch, and just can handle being on camera, 24/7. It's a new animal. It's a new muscle for a lot of coaches out there, and they need to become comfortable with it. So why do you think a lot of coaches are having issues communicating with their goalkeepers in this manner? Is it because they don't have that personal connection of the person actually being there? Or is it because they're second guessing what they're trying to say? Or
are you talking about goalkeeper coaches or regular coaches?
Goalkeeper coaches.
I think because you don't have, goalkeeper coaching or goalkeeper training.
I know what you're gonna say.
is a very hands-on thing. You could have a coach who doesn't move the entire time, but every single player knows exactly what they're talking about. A goalkeeper coach or a goalkeeper trainer can't do that. Even if you have, a couple of them out there serving, you're still running around with these guys. You're still, doing certain things really hands-on. So for a youth goalkeeper coach or somebody that's just starting, or for them to just talk and communicate and they can't show them or can't, be there, I think it's more frustration than anything.
But I agree with you. I think that it shows kind of your level. It is such a hands-on position. It's easier if you're having trouble explaining something as a young goalkeeper coach, then you're just going to show them. you're gonna say, hey, this is why you're positioning on. This is how your body's supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to be attacking a collapse dive or a middle collapse dive or something like that. You show them. And so now when you're in this genre and you're sitting here and you have to explain it and be able to explain it, like to articulate it so that the kid understands, that's not that easy for some people. And so that is why people are having problems, because they're used to just physically showing it.
Yeah.
Or taking another player and saying, well, watch Johnny. Johnny, come here, demo this, or Susan, come here, demo this. And now instead you have to like really intellectually break this down and explain it to them so they understand. And that's a true test for you as a goalkeeper coach, that you need to be able to do that.
Well, I think that's a really good point you brought up, Saskia, is that this is a time period where you can learn how to grow as a coach as well too, because maybe you are too reliant on using demos of kids next to you, or doing something physical, or just being a trainer rather than a coach. And maybe this is where you can develop your skill set and learn how to maybe articulate yourself a little bit more eloquently so that everyone really grasps what you're talking about, being a little more specific, less general in your conversations. So that, because I'll be straight up honest with you, like, I think the best thing that's happened for me in regards to being able to try to run these Zoom sessions that I've been doing the last few weeks is doing a podcast, because I've been working on those muscles of speaking in a manner where I can't just all of a sudden get up right now and just, show, a top hand corner save. Well, I mean, actually that probably would actually be pretty awesome if I could do that in this house right now. That would, I think everybody else would frown upon that, but, it would not go well. But I have a certain restrictions and now on the podcast, and it allows me to use those muscles, to learn those muscles. So then when I get back on the field, it's made me a better coach, honestly.
Absolutely. You have to be able, if you are going to elevate yourself as a goalkeeper coach, if you're starting out and you're building to it and everything, you have to be able to, even if you're on the field, you have to be able to look at somebody and verbally explain to them where the breakdown was, where their positioning went wrong, where their communication went wrong. You have to be able to verbalize that. You can't just say, well, okay, we'll do another round and, I'll tweak it then. No, you have to, if a kid or if an adult comes up to you and says, explain to me, why does this keep happening? You have to be able to verbalize that. And so I think this is testing that. This forum right now and where we are is testing that and your knowledge as a goalkeeper coach.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the tools we're learning right now during this quarantine, during this lockdown. How can we use these tools we develop when we're back in season to make us better coaches? And, whoever's got a brilliant insight right here, I know both of you guys are deep in thought on that. Feel free to step in. One thing I say, number one, out of all of that is being comfortable in being uncomfortable, because that's one thing that a lot of goalkeeper coaches are not, is when they feel that they're not secure in a situation, they get that deer in the headlights and all of a sudden the session falls apart. And that's not just a goalkeeper coach. That's a lot of different types of coaches out there. And look, it's not going to be comfortable at first doing these Zoom sessions. They're not easy. It takes a little bit of time.
Told me that? One of my field player coaches told me that. And because I had to start up my first goalkeeper Zoom sessions. And she's like, it's not comfortable at first, but then like doing all this and podcasts, I'm like, what am I worried about? I was more worried about the mechanics of it and figuring out how to send them the Zoom link. That's actually what I meant. And Mike knows that. I'm technically like, so I was like,
you've been doing well with the Zoom though so far.
But you can catch a soccer ball, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, and I was like, I wasn't really talking about the talking part, but it was really the technical part. But yeah, she admitted that. She admitted to me, I was kind of like a little nervous and a little, here's 20 kids on a screen and trying to manage this and navigate this. And, but you got to do it. You're the coach. You got to do it. Figure it out.
Yeah. I think for me, I put such a emphasis on communication as a player that for me, it's maybe more natural, but I take a different approach where I don't tell, even with our academy kids, I don't tell them anything. I ask them. Mm-hmm. They need to figure it out. I mean, no one was in the game telling me anything. You got to figure it out. Absolutely. And when it comes to communication, I think a big thing for goalkeeper trainers and parents of goalkeepers, mainly, this is to all the parents, is that communication is different than talking. When I tell my goalkeepers, hey, you need to be talking. Well, my goalkeeper doesn't need to be telling my forward, 100 yards up the field to take a shot.
Thank you.
That's just talking to talking.
Yeah.
And then nobody's going to listen to you when you have something to say.
And that's what I tell. So we have it's perfect. They're just
I
going to
agree with you 1,000%.
And I was been telling so we have a 16-year-old homegrown that he plays with us, and they do these things. They're still, they're technically pros, but they do these things like youth players. And you got to be okay, you can do that now, right? He can hear you. But next year, when you're playing at Sporting Park with 40,000 people, or you're playing in Atlanta with 75,000 people, do you think he's going to hear you?
Right.
Why waste your time?
Yeah.
So at the younger levels, yeah, they can hear you, but what's the point?
Yeah.
And then when I get the ball passed back to me and they're screaming, pass to Johnny, but I don't want to pass to Johnny, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
They're not going to tell me what to do, just like I'm not going to tell them what to do.
Oh my
So
God.
talking to talk is just talking to talk.
But coaches are doing that on the Zooms right now as well too. They're just talking to talk.
But I have to, on that, we are so 100% on the same page with that. And I tell that even from my college keepers down, that, when I ask you to communicate, that random communication is not communication. And agree, do not tell your forward to shoot, or do not tell them to pass or something like that. Like, it is sound bites. It's important sound bites. It's focus on organization and what is going to set up you so you don't have to make a save, and your defense. But all that other jabber, that's all it is. And eventually, if you keep doing that, when you really have something important that needs to come across, nobody's going to listen to you.
Yeah.
It's funny that I had our goalkeeper coach in college, Eric Pogue. He's the head coach at Oakland right now. He's going to die laughing that I'm talking about. I was just talking to talk when I was a freshman in college, right? And he's like, "What are you saying? What are you doing?" And I was just like, "What? I'm communicating." "No, you're talking. Yeah. You need to be communicating and organizing." And so he made this rule my entire freshman year. If our team had the ball, I could talk, right? I could communicate, get guys in place. If we didn't have the ball, couldn't say a word, wasn't allowed to. So if guys weren't in the places where they needed to be when the ball turned over, we were screwed.
Absolutely.
So because now I'm concentrating on the ball.
Right.
So, and that just carried over to me when I was, a pro and a player and everything. I only say what I need to say.
And absolutely. And that's what I tell the UCLA keepers and everything. I'm like, now's your time to organize. Mm-hmm. Like, we have the ball, we're on attack. So check your defense, check your back line, make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be, because they're ball watching right now and stuff. And so if you put them in that position, then when we turn over the ball, they're already set. We'll win the ball back like that, because you've already positioned them defensively for that. But if you're going to wait, and now it's chaos.
Yeah, so I think, everybody wants these highlight saves, right? Everybody's, I picked the ball out of the corner. I told people, dude, if I go an entire year without making a save or without having to make a save, okay, we just won a championship, number one. I just have another year without pounding on my body, number two. I don't need to make a save. Who needs to make a save? I get paid to win games, not to make saves.
And I tell I ask my keepers, same thing. Number one, it's not my saying, what's the greatest save a goalkeeper can make is no save at all.
Right.
Because you've organized everybody that the ball doesn't get to you. And number two, it's just the simplest save. It's staying on your feet, because you've organized your defense. They get the worst angle shot off, and you're in position, and it's no big deal. Yeah. I don't care if you're picking the ball at the upper 90 because everybody's not organized. That's what I'm mad about.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like all these, Mike and I were joking about it when we were texting on the other day, but all these dudes that are like throwing their bodies over fences and like training, like all this nonsense, all these Instagram goalkeepers, just because you can jump over a fence doesn't mean that you're a goalkeeper. Like, it doesn't matter, man. Like, okay, what if that ball's not going there? Are you going to be able to hold it? If a guy shoots a ball right at you, are you going to hold it, or are you going to let up a rebound? Just because I can push a ball over the goal. Okay, now you just gave up a corner. Good job. What, they're going to score off the corner now?
Oh my God, he's me.
Yeah.
Because I say the same thing. I have keepers that are just like, I'm like, well, I'm glad you made that upper 90 save. You know why you had to make that upper 90 save? Because you were totally out of position.
Right.
And had you been in position, you taken a step to the left and caught it and stayed on your feet. But now you've made an upper 90 save. Now it's a corner kick, and now it's well, it looked great. It looks stupid in my opinion, like
Right.
because you're out of position, you weren't organized, and make it easy on yourself.
Right. And I put so much
Look
onus
at
on.
Mike's like,
We're not going to let you talk.
No,
Mike.
no, dude. I swear, this episode should just be called like Mitch and Saskia just catch the ball, part 1.
Keep it simple.
So, yeah, so I tell kids this all the time, and I tell our guys all the time, like, you catch if it's in front of you, you catch the ball. Like, how many saves? Okay. And I tell you, make what, 95% of your saves are right to you, right?
Right.
So if you make 95% of the saves that you're supposed to make, which are right to you, you're going to have one hell of a season. Yeah. It's the rebounds, it's the decisions, it's the, like you said, the positioning errors. If you're if you're making 95% of the saves that you're supposed to be, and that's why, like, when I was with the Wolves and stuff, I wasn't making these kids do anything but catch the ball.
I never do.
And people are like, oh, why aren't you going into the goal? I was like, with you 12, why do I need to go in the goal?
Why aren't they flying over garbage cans or something like that? I'm like, well,
why? Teach them how to communicate, organize, teach them the game, and teach them how to catch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We are 100% agreement with that.
I want to bring up something that you guys just said earlier, Mitch, in regards to talking over communicating, because I think that goes back to mistakes I'm seeing in these virtual sessions. By the way, I'm totally going to steal that whole thing about, like, you can't talk when they have the ball. You can only talk when you have the ball. Dude, because honestly, I can't tell you how many goalkeepers think that the organizing starts when they lose possession.
When you turn the
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And then it's frantic, and then it sounds crazy, and then your team is frantic and crazy because you sound frantic and crazy. Yeah.
You're already a step behind then.
Exactly.
You're already a step behind. So now you're playing catch up.
I absolutely love that. And that's a mistake I'm seeing in these virtual sessions, is I'm seeing coaches talking rather than communicating. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm saying, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but people are sending clips and stuff, and it's like, great job, man, blah blah blah. You got to blah 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 blah. It sounds like an auctioneer, and I'm like, too much information. Have you ever been around somebody who's just talking the whole time? You don't really hear anything they have to say. Okay. Saskia, by the way, the first time Mitch and I met was basically at our stand-up roast on stage in Atlanta during All-Star Week.
Was he heckling you?
He was on stage heckling me.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's you've got to. It's like we say. You and I have worked in the entertainment industry. It's bullet points, and it's quick and to the point, and all the other random in between. Like I always say, where's the filter come in? Because eventually people don't know how to differentiate in the middle of training or in the middle of a game. You're asking me, after I've been babbling away about nonsense, to in 1 second figure out that all that nonsense, but there was one thing I told you that really was poignant and needed to be heard. You're not going to hear it. Right. You're not going to hear it. You're going to hear babble, babble, babble. I should have heard that. Babble, babble, babble. It's like the peanuts.
And I think another thing, when we're talking about these virtual sessions, something that we've started to do is really put the onus on the kids. So we stopped, we've stopped, giving them the answers. So they're running the meeting. And if they're not talking or they're not communicating or they're not putting in their, and we don't care if they're wrong. I mean, I don't care if you're wrong. Like, one, you're 13, 14 years old. And two, if, one of our first team guys makes a mistake, are we going to badger them? No, we're going to tell them, okay, this is what we think, and we'll fix it as a group and we'll talk about it, whatever. I don't care if you're wrong. Just talk, be a part of it. So we really put the onus.
Have an opinion.
Exactly.
And so, like, okay, I would talk to my keepers. I'd be like, what did you think about that? Like, give it. And if you're wrong, it's fine. I'm not going to be like, oh no, that's not it. But we'll guide you into the right answer. But I agree with you. Give an answer. Say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might even be a good idea for, goalkeeper coaches at the youth level to even stop doing these meetings. Just allow, maybe do a meeting a week and allow a different kid to run the session. What do you want to talk about? And then let's, maybe you talk to them beforehand, snip up some clips and do it, but let them run it. Because then you go to school, is the teacher talking your presentation? No, like give the kid the onus to do it.
Yeah. I love what you said in regards to that, because another mistake that I'm seeing a lot of goalkeeper coaches making right now, and I don't want to just focus on the negatives because we're going to talk about the positives and how to properly do one of these if we can, and kind of put a template together for people to help them, is that they're trying to act like they're still at a regular session. And they're trying to make it, and the problem is that they're not utilizing the actual technology properly. They're trying to do what they would normally do at their field or in their classroom or whatever in a virtual setting, and it doesn't translate. You got to make sure that you're using the medium properly. So if you're going to do a training session, don't try to manipulate it and make it look like, okay, well, this is what I was going to do on the field that day, and yeah, I got dummies here, and I got this and that and that, and then, but it's virtual. It's not going to work. It's not going to keep it simple. This is the time to work on simple technical movements, maybe one-on-one, maybe a couple kids at a time if you're actually going to do physical training, and allow for much more interaction than you would on just a field and just let the session run, because you can't. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and also don't, in my opinion, and you know how much I love meetings.
It's literally your life now. It's all you do.
Don't make it so long. Like if you're doing a virtual session like on Zoom or something, you are like, oh, well, normally we practice for an hour and a half, so we're going to talk for an hour and a half. I mean, why would you do that? When you're practicing for an hour and a half, the kids are moving, they're running around, they're engaging and stuff. You're going to sit here and stare at a screen and talk for an hour and a half? Give me a break. Make it short, make it sweet, make it to the point. So the kids want to be in the session and you don't lose them, because you're going to lose them. I'm sorry. These kids are on Zoom for school all day now. They're multiple other meetings and stuff. You'll lose them. Have your session ready. Have what you want the kids to talk about and you to talk about to the point. Make it short, make it sweet, so they like getting on the sessions. Because if you sign me up for an hour and a half session, I would put my little thing on where it says Saskia Weber, and I'd be up cleaning the house or something.
but that's why I'm keeping them physically active during the session as well too.
No, I know.
Because the thing is that if you just sit there with them for an hour and a half, it's going to be, and they've already done 6 hours of school online. Well, that's not going to keep their attention. But if there's some semblance of soccer still involved, you can incorporate both, in my opinion. You can incorporate both the technical and the tactical. Okay, let's do a little bit of simple movement, simple handling. A lot of these kids have parents at home. They have siblings at home that can do simple service, as long as you guide them, just so that they're staying a little bit fresh. And then you say, hey, we're using this as lecture time. You're going to go back and you're going to do these activities on your own, as opposed to just.
I don't mean to be like the bad guy in this, but you have to keep into consideration not everybody has the same situation that everybody
That's
else.
true. Yeah.
So you're sitting here saying, I'm going to have like this virtual practice and stuff like that. Not everybody has the space. Not everybody, some people are in a 2-bedroom apartment. Other people have a full goal in their backyard and nannies to serve the ball. Like
in Kansas City, they have an entire city where they can just go out.
It's just not the same. So when you're developing your session and your virtual session, one thing we made clear, and even with the UCLA players, we asked them, what is your situation?
Beautiful. I love that.
Like what do you have at your, what do you have? And what equipment do you have? Yeah. And that went from field players to goalkeepers as well. And then from those surveys that we did, then we tweak their sessions. Then we understand that everybody else's session, it can't all be the same. And I had one of our club kids came up and said, I'm not allowed to go. Part of their field player session was a 2-mile run. and they're like, I'm not allowed to go on a 2-mile run. My parents won't let me. And so you have to take that into consideration too. So this isn't just like everybody, you know, we're going to be virtual. Everybody go outside, go in your backyard, and let's get this done. Find out your player's situation first.
Yeah, that's really simple. That's a simple way to do it. I mean, personally, what I've just been doing, and maybe I'm going to learn from this and the mistakes I'm making too, because we're all trying to grow here, because it's all a whole new world. Is I'm asking what resources do you have available to you? Send me. Let's do a meeting where I set up a Zoom and I actually get to see your field and I see the amount of space that you have and I see the equipment that you have, and then let's walk through it. And then that way I know how to put a session together for you.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't know, you're right, Saskia. You're going to be in a situation where you're given a player the traditional off-season training program, and they go, "Yeah, well, that." You know,
and that's something we're falling into, like with the programs that are out there, whether it's the technique program or this or that or the other. Not everybody has it. Not everybody has access to the space or the cones or a wall or so. As a club coach, you've got to be cognizant of that and kind of break it down. And that takes some work, coaches.
Yeah.
You can't just say, guys, here's what you're supposed to do. Figure it out.
Question for both of you guys right here. Oh, go ahead, Mitch.
When it comes to, I mean, speaking from kind of, where we're coming from, I mean, we're able to, we're very lucky. We're able to send home, stationary bikes and kettlebells and, stuff like this to guys, they come to the facility and pick it up. But for the academy guys, we've been asking them, what have you been doing? They get a strength program from our strength coach. Okay. He tells them what they've been doing. But for us as goalkeeper coaches, we're asking them, what did you do this week?
Right.
We don't tell them, okay, go out and do, kick 10 balls against the, make sure you reset each time, make sure your hands are good, make sure your weight's forward. What are you doing? Okay, you're juggling 3 balls. Perfect. Okay, you're out there doing something. Your dad's throwing you the basketball and you guys are playing catch with the football. Great. We had a talk, the 3 of us, Alec with the first team, me and Darren with the academy. We had a talk and we found that kids, they're so used to being told what to do that they're losing the ability to just go and do it. Everything's so scripted now. And even within our academy, sometimes if an option, because they've trained this thing so many times, okay, we build out of the back. This is what we do. Okay, I get the ball back. This is the pattern that we do. Well, what if that's not on? Oh no, what do I do? Okay. So now with this, Mike, what did you do when you were a kid? You just went outside. You played handball. You came up with games. Exactly.
And if you were by yourself, you figured it out.
Yeah, you figured it out.
And it teaches you as a goalkeeper better. Mm-hmm. Like you know what you're supposed to be doing right and wrong. You've heard it from us over and over again. And you can go out with one ball and make your own session.
For sure.
And I said the same thing to my keepers on Friday. First thing was, look, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to hammer you. I've seen the list on the app of who's at top for 13 hours and who isn't. What are you guys doing? Tell me what you're doing.
That's the important
thing. And somebody was like, oh, well, I did this and I did that with my brother. I played hoops. I did this. I go, good, great. You're getting something in. Love it.
Yeah.
Why are Americans so good at goalkeepers back, with Friedel and Timmy and Casey and all these guys? Why? Because we grew up playing baseball, basketball, football. Kids nowadays, I mean, we even talk to it. So our younger kids, we don't go every single day with goalkeeper training. I mean, we give them warmed up, but most of the time, we do a couple of sessions a week, but our academy kids are there every single day, just like our pros. But for the younger kids, we put them into training because we want them to be able to play with their feet. We want them to be able to do different things. If you just sit there every single day, handling, diving, like just the goalkeeper movements. No. So what we've talked about is instituting, okay, well, we're going to play flag football with these kids, once a week. We're going to put up a basketball hoop at our training facility and have these kids play basketball once a week. Because these kids, they go to school, and a lot of them, they go to school and then they come to our facility and then they train, they work out, and they get home at 8 p.m. So what are they doing otherwise, other than soccer and school? They're not doing it. So we're losing that. Okay,
but it also instills fun. It also instills a sense of fun and athleticism and competition. Like I said, hey, all right, your house is on the beach, go for a swim. You
For
know,
sure.
like
And-
go for a swim, do something else, work out different muscles. You know, if your brother's a basketball player, get out front in your driveway and play 1v1 with him and play.
Right.
It's all footwork, it's all handling,
Yeah.
but have fun, but do something.
I mean, it's just one more point. I mean, for these virtual sessions, I kind of just thought about it. If you're a goalkeeper coach for a club team, ask what goalkeepers have a basketball hoop in their backyard and say, okay, let's get on a virtual session. We're going to play horse.
I love it.
Winner wins
Love it.
something. And so you're still interacting with your kids, but you're doing something else that maybe they're different. And you're just saying, okay, well, you're still active. You're still
Right.
doing something with your hands. And now we're just having fun together. It doesn't have to be,
Soccer,
just-
soccer.
yeah, soccer. Yeah,
I
soccer is important.
I do
but-
that with my kids, and actually they love that session because at Paul Revere here in LA, when I take them, there's basketball courts
Mm.
and we work on their distribution.
Oh, there you go.
So because I used to do it at Rutgers in the winter, I used to take like a bag of balls, I'd go on the basketball court and I'd work on my distribution, throwing like half court, full court shots.
Perfect.
Like,
Yeah.
and so we play horse, but doing proper like overhand distribution, and they love it,
Yeah.
they love it. And it's a basketball hoop and it's something different and it's still working on those skills. So
For
I think
sure.
I love it.
I want to bring up something that somebody just put in the comments right now, and they were talking about fitness. Saskia, you were talking about being up on the top of the leaderboards and fitness completion competitions and all that sort of stuff. How do you guys feel about that sort of stuff with these training programs? These virtual programs.
Well, I
Like
think
it, just like
I don't mind it. I think it's great, but again, I agree with you so much, Mitch, that you can't just be like this. I got to do my fitness. I got to get on the top of the leaderboard. I got to do this. I got to do that. Soccer. You're going to burn out. I'm sorry. You're going to burn out. And if you're on the top of that leaderboard because you're doing nothing else but that every single day, and we've got 2 more months in quarantine, you're not going to want to step on a soccer field. You might be fit, but mix it up. Mix it up. Do the stuff you're supposed to do, get in what you can get, but absolutely enjoy this time with your family, enjoy this time going for a bike ride and counting that as part of your fitness and stuff like that's fine with me. And I told my keepers that I was like, if this is what you're doing, count that as part of your fitness. That's fine. It doesn't mean you went on like a 10-mile bike ride. Not that people could do that right now. And then you come back and now you still have to do this. I'm like, no, in my opinion, count it as your fitness.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole leaderboard thing is, it kind of gives your, that competitive nature, that competitive edge. But, I couldn't agree with you more. Just because you're doing more doesn't mean you're doing more, if that makes sense. If like our guys, they'll log on and they do Zoom workouts with our strength coach. I mean, obviously not everybody can do that, but one of their workouts is just a yoga
not
session.
everybody's allowed to train with the Sporting KC strength and conditioning coaches. Is that how it doesn't work that way?
Session, and we
They charge you a lot, man. You don't want to
at UCLA to do yoga as well. That's one of the workouts. Do a yoga session.
Yeah, do yoga, do stretching. I mean, my wife and I, shameless plug, and if anybody from Orange Theory is watching this, I'd love to be, but no, we did a Orange Theory workout. You can just log on. They do home workouts for free right now. And so we were just doing that together in the living room this morning. So there's so many outlets that you can do. Just because you're a soccer player doesn't mean you have to go and run 10 miles or whatever.
I agree.
Someone just brought up a great idea on the message board right now, and that is putting together a Google Doc that everyone, whether your goalkeepers, the parents, the coaches, can all add on to, that anyone can access at any time and utilize those resources from that Google Doc in their own independent study. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. I mean, whatever you guys decide to do is, I think.
Bless you.
I'm fine.
Oh
Fine.
yeah.
Sneezing's not part of it.
Quarantine. No, I think that all these ideas are great ideas if you keep doing it. Like if a vaccine comes out next week And all of a sudden, all these things that people are doing, these great ideas, putting together a leaderboard, or, having meetings with your kids once a week. I mean, a lot of club teams are only practicing Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what are they doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Why don't you start a Zoom meeting now that the kids know what to do? Why don't you keep doing it all year?
Yeah.
Like, don't just stop doing it now that we can. So, I mean, whatever you guys want to do as a team, if it keeps the kids engaged, that's all you're doing right now. I mean, for 90% of soccer players in the world, you're just trying to keep them engaged right now.
Yeah.
So I think you just keep doing what you're doing, and you just have fun. Like Saskia said, you have fun. It's not about just doing work to work.
By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this story, but someone was interviewing Giannis, Antetokounmpo, from the Milwaukee Bucks, and they were saying, "Have you been playing any basketball?" And he says, "I haven't been playing any basketball." He says, "How come you haven't been playing any basketball?" He's like, "I don't have a basketball court at my house. Like, the only way I can play basketball is if I'm allowed. I can go to my neighbors who have a hoop in their front yard area, and I can shoot around there." And I'm like, that talk about everyone coming together and humbling everyone to showcase how we're all one type of person. When a superstar NBA player like that is in that type of a situation, and then they're still trying to find ways to stay fit, and they're still coming up with ideas, that just showcases that, look, at everyone's in a restrictive boat here, no matter how big or famous you are. So we're all coming up with ideas. Last thing I want to bring up before we're going to talk a couple stories right here, guys. I know I've been keeping you guys, so long because we got so many things to do. I got to unload groceries.
I got to leave my comment and my rating. So
I got to work out. Yeah. Have you left your comment and your ratings yet, dude? You got to do that. You got 30 seconds on 30 seconds on iTunes, dude. We'll follow you. We'll even follow you back, Mitch.
I don't think you follow me.
No, I follow you.
I know,
I'm pretty sure. Okay. Just making sure I follow. I'll see if my personal's following you too. I want to talk about breaking down game film and what our final. By the way, Mitch, is there a template that MLS or Sporting have given you guys to follow weekly with your keepers, or are you left to your own devices to do it?
No, I mean, within the club, everybody. In Sporting, Alec is very good with allowing us to do kind of what we want to do. So, I do what I want to do with our guys, and he obviously does for the first team, and Darren with the academy. We're all kind of integrated. Like, we go up and we work with the first team, and I stick around and I watch the academy kids. So, I mean, we're all over the place, but when it comes to a weekly basis, it's set. I think Darren is probably the most structured, because he has, he doesn't have, scouting reports for the weekend. He doesn't have, and he's got a lot more numbers. So he just has a stock, weekly, this is what I'm doing. I can kind of tailor my stuff, and Alec can tailor his stuff more to, okay, Monday and Tuesday are re-entry days. Wednesday's kind of a work day. Thursday, we're getting ready for Saturday. And Friday's match day -1, which is kind of the same session weekly. So as far as a template, no. But the thing is with our goalkeepers is everybody plays the same way. So when we're working on building out of the back or working on distribution, we're all pretty much doing the same session with all the way down.
Okay. All right. Saskia, anything you want to add about breaking down game film right now? Advice for coaches?
Right now, I'm doing it the same way we do it here on Inside the 18. Like, I'm picking certain points in the game to break down, and then they have to analyze them themselves. And then, when we come in on Friday, they have to give their opinion. I'm not going to facilitate. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to say what I think. I'm going to wait. We'll bring up the first save or the first goal that I want to talk about. And it's not like every save in the game. I was like, I'll give you guys like 4, like that's it. And really focus on them and come with your opinion. And I don't want to, I told them, I said, I don't want a book report. I don't. I said, I want like 2 lines of what you think, like quick, easy. What do you think was good about this? What do you think was wrong about this? Don't need a page, and then we'll discuss it.
I think that was the main thing that you just said is, what do you think? It's a question rather than a comment. You know, when I talk with our guys, you know, these are pro players and they know what they're doing. And I want to know why they did what they did when they did it.
Exactly.
And if you can explain it to me, okay, you gave the ball away. If you can explain to me why, or either what's the reason, and you know, okay, let's move on. Let's go. You know, let's go to the next thing. It's not about me sitting there hammering home, you know, this is why you got scored on. Well, what is that? What good does that do?
Nothing. You know,
Yeah.
It's their education. They have
Mhm.
to be able to educate themselves when we're not there.
For sure.
That's the point. I can't be at every club game. I can't be at every club practice and stuff. So when I'm not there, if you make a mistake, my favorite thing is to turn to somebody and say, like, Finn, and he'll tell me immediately what he did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of me saying, Finn, this is what you did wrong, it'll be Finn, and he'll be like, you know, I was still moving. I didn't get set. My weight was on my heels. And I'm like, good, because you're teaching yourself. You get it now.
Yep.
You know? And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, developing those autonomous goalkeepers that are not dependent on somebody else to guide them. Because in the game, ultimately, and I've told goalkeepers this, I actually told a keeper in a Zoom session just recently, I said, hey, you know what? On the field, it's whatever you did, you know, if you got the job done, then let's not freak out about it. You know, if you keep micromanaging everything and say, well, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, at the end of the day, you know, you made a decision based on the situation in the game and you went with it, you know, and it's not always going to be pretty. And I'd rather that you learn from that and, you know, say, hey, you know, okay, in the future, there might have been ways that are more advantageous that could have made this job a little easier for you. But at the end of the day, you got the job done. So let's, you know.
The great thing about soccer is that there's no one way to do things and there's no black and white answer. You know, it's a free flowing game. And that's the great thing about our game, is that it's not a football. You know, football, you sit in a meeting with them and they break down film for 5 hours and this is what you were supposed to do and this is what you did it. It's black and white.
It's a chess
with
match.
us. Yeah, it's a chess match. And with us, it's okay, you did this, it came off, but what happens if this guy slides 2 yards to the left? Now what are you going to do?
Right.
So it's figuring out things so that in that next moment, when I get the ball on my left foot and I try to play to my left center back or try to play into my sixes checking in, what happens does he have an option? Where is that ball going when he gets it? Where am I going to go when he gets it?
Right.
So it's figuring out different scenarios and situations. I mean, that's why goalkeepers, why do you think Tim's still playing right now? It's because he just knows where to be. I mean, it's why did Casey play until he's 40? Why did Nick play until he's 40? You know, why is Brad still going strong in Atlanta? It's because, you get better with age, but it's because you don't have to fly around anymore. You know where the ball's going. It's scenarios. It's all scenarios.
Yeah. Speaking of scenarios, let's do a little story time right here, guys, because I want to see some fun stories from everybody.
My dog is pawing at me.
Oh,
what's up, Coco? Okay.
She gonna come up on come on
I've
your
got
lap?
Coco, Chanel, and then Jagger, Mick Jagger.
Coco Chanel.
Coco and Chanel, the Shih Tzus, and then I've got Jagger's the boxer.
That's great. Love that.
Okay, so what I want everybody to do here is I want to share first time we did a goalkeeper presentation and how it went. And it can be positive, negative. It could be any type of presentation, a field demo, summer camp, virtual session, whatever you want to share with the audience, and just have fun with it. Just
I'm going to humble myself a little bit. I won't, which I never do. Just kidding. It wouldn't be my first time, but I had to do my first session for my first college ID camp a couple months ago. And, you know, I'm put a couple weeks into being with UCLA and everything. And here I am with college coaches, and I had to put together a session, and I was inside very panicked, not panicked, but not, you're just I was uneasy. I was like, you know,
hold on. I don't think I've ever seen you this uneasy just now, just talking about something.
Well, because I don't like
life.
It's because I don't like admitting that. So I said,
no, you're always confident.
But we can edit this out. I am.
No, you can't. This is live right now.
So I actually was a bit uneasy. I was uneasy because not because I didn't think I knew what I was doing, but it just was this other level that I was always all of a sudden thrown into coaching at, you know. And I remember the drill I had set up, because we were bouncing back and forth. It wasn't working out. Like it just wasn't flowing properly. And like inside of me, I was like, oh my God, I look like an absolute idiot right now. Like, oh my God, here's Saskia's UCLA goalkeeper coach, and you know, this drill's going to shit. And I just kind of calmed myself, and I was just like, oh my God, just fix it on the fly. You know, like, cause you get into those situations and you think in the way it should structurally, it should work properly and everything like that. But depending on the people that are in it, the servers and everything like that, it could go awry. And that's what was happening. It just wasn't quality and it wasn't moving fast enough. And I just stopped it. I said, stop, come in. We're going to redo this. And I just redid the drill on the fly there and made it 10 times more efficient. And I was getting out of it what we needed to get out of it to see these goalkeepers play. But like, it was get over that out of my head and just stop it. Just what would I do if I was in practice right now anywhere else? And, you know, I'll humble myself right now in front of all these college coaches. I will say, this isn't working. I got to redo this. And so that's what I did. I cut it. I said, bring it in. We're redoing this. I set up a different drill to get the same result, much more efficient. But yeah, I was sweating. There was one little stress ball coming down. It happens.
Mitch, I'm actually.
He doesn't know what to say because
I'm literally like, blown away because I never thought Saskia's ever been in that situation in her life.
It was like
ever.
It's a couple months ago.
Wow! Look at what you get on. Look at what you get when you put people on the spot on the air live. Look at that.
I know, right?
Yeah. All right, Mitch, your turn.
Man, well, I mean, I haven't been coaching that long, so I think.
By the way, people love hearing that when you're like, I haven't been coaching that long. Anyway, I'm with the second team at an MLS club.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah, I mean, you know
I
how it
haven't
is.
either. I was retired for 15 years. I retired from playing pro, and then I was doing like a private here and there.
Right.
And now I'm at UCLA.
Yeah. No, but I think for me, I think there's different types of people, right? There's people that are educators and there's people that aren't. And I always say that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, people, preschool teachers and people that do, work with kids young, because it takes a tremendous amount of, talent to do this. And the first time that I worked with younger kids before I came to Kansas City, because I had just finished playing, I was expecting things to just happen because, you serve a ball and you serve a ball to Brad Guzan and he catches it and we go on to the next drill. Well, I was serving a ball.
I'm glad you said he catches it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And, no, so that was my life for a year, right? And I would do the drill and we'd go on and, you get in there and you get into that atmosphere and these kids aren't doing it. And then you get into the realm of talking about their game and you talk about, okay, this is what we did all week. Why'd you do this in your game? And they don't get it. And you kind of just sit there and you're like, well, why don't you, like, you're supposed to get this, like, why aren't you getting it?
Right.
And then so after a while, like, your mind switches and you're like, okay, well, that's why I'm here.
Right.
And so I think the first time that I worked with young, because I had done, sessions for college kids and in the off season I did, some guys that were still playing professionally, and those would be fine. Like I worked with Steve Clark all winter and those would be fine because I'm telling him what he needs to do, and it's not just coaching. It's more of running drills and then picking out points. And then we would talk, and it's mainly just talking about games and game scenarios and things like that, but the actual technical basis was there. So to work with the younger kids, it takes a mind shift about, I need to really be tuned into what they're doing on an every move basis so that they realize it and then they can fix it.
Yeah, and on that, no, I think that one of the hard things about that is when you're brought into that situation is the field coaches that are like, why does that kid keep making the same mistake and this and that and the other, and I need like all field player coaches to take a step back for a second and calm down, okay? Because a lot of times the kids that we're handed are kids that, you're playing soccer your whole life, and whether you're on the field and stuff like that, then all of a sudden you get players that want to play goalkeeper, and you're playing catch up as a goalkeeper a lot of times when you're in club, I feel, and I'm taking a couple athletes that you decide they want to be a goalkeeper, and now you're not understanding why they aren't at the exact same level that their team was. I'm like, because they're learning a whole new skill and they have to play catch up. But that's where we have to be able to take that pause, take that step back, and realize that's where we really have to teach.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of patience.
Speaking of demonstrations, I want to share a story here on demonstrations.
I thought you were going to get up and do something.
Oh, dude, how great would that would have been if I got up?
I started getting up.
Dude, so if I just get up right now and I'd have to move everything. I'd have to move everything with me.
This is how we run a virtual session.
This is how we run a virtual session, guys. There's an hour virtual session. No, I want to share. Speaking of demonstrations, I want to talk about when I demonstrated in a actual course. Okay, so I was taking my Advanced National U.S. Federation goalkeeping license, which doesn't exist anymore. It's a course
that's a lot of words.
It doesn't exist anymore. They got rid of it because U.S. Soccer said there's no need for goalkeeping training. Anyway, that's a touchy subject. That's another subject. That's
now
another
that you went
episode.
Now that you went at U.S. Soccer, you're never going to be invited back.
Oh yeah. Because I'm sure they're going to listen to
They're
this.
like, why do we need goalkeeper coaches when we have everybody from New Jersey? That's already great.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's literally they just go to New Jersey and just buy. So anyway, I'm they're asking for volunteers, obviously. And at the time, I think I'm a pretty big deal. I'm a regional staff for ODP. I'm the goalkeeping director, as Mitch and we love to talk about that. At a very big DA club. We had just won our third national championship. Obviously had everything to do with me and the goalkeepers that I was training. And so Tim Mulqueen is running the session, whom we all know Tim Mulqueen, obviously a legend in the game. And he goes, okay, I need some.
I just love that you call him a legend. I love it.
I need some guys to step in here to demo. So I step into demo, and then a couple other people step into demo, and we're doing this high ball work, right? High ball work. First off, the other two keepers, one about 6'3", the other gun probably about 6'1", but ridiculously athletic. And then there's me, and Tim's putting us through a nice solid professional high ball session warm up, and we're doing it. And it's clearly obvious that I do not belong with these two other guys right now in any way whatsoever. And anyway, I go up for this one ball, and I literally, as it's coming, I'm like, keeper, and I go up for it. I miss the ball. Oh God, maybe 6-7 inches as I'm going up for this ball. And I come down, and the ball literally just goes like right over me into the goal. And Tim goes, all right, let's break this down right now here. So what happened? And I'm like, it was the sun. and Mulqueen in his typical style goes, the sun? I can't do anything about the sun, pal.
That's Tim.
Now, why can so-and-so do this, but no, why can so-and-so, Michael can't do this? And everyone went, it's because the sun. He said, no, but it's because that guy's a better athlete. Not to be mean. Not to be mean, but he's a better athlete.
Just be honest. Don't say it's the sun.
And that moment humbled me so much because it recognized me of what it's like to be one of those kids in those sessions.
Yeah.
And it made me empathize with them, because now I remembered what it was like to be the kid, and to recognize that, oh, this is what they're going through right now. So you gotta, and Tim wasn't saying it in a mean spirited way. He was being fun. He was having fun with it, and he was joking around with it and stuff like that. So, I mean, was the other guy a better athlete? Probably. But, you know, again, he was just trying to keep it light and keep it so that I was also recognizing that I can't make excuses for things that we can't control. So I want all the goalkeeper coaches out there to recognize that whenever you're breaking stuff down and a kid brings up something that's out of their control, try to have fun with it. Don't scold them, but try to have fun with it. And that's kind of my moral of that story.
I like it.
Yeah. Love that.
Thanks, Tim. Hi, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get Tim on the show, but he was on my Instagram and then he just disappeared. I think he deleted me or something.
I love it.
All right, guys, we've been going for quite a while now. So thanks, Mitch, for taking the time, man. Drinking your sweet tea on the porch.
Still rocking back and forth.
Yeah, still rocking. Always, man. Always.
But before we go, does anybody else have any final thoughts on the topic or any plugs? I know Mitch, obviously right now, you know, you're busy dealing with your sporting keepers and stuff, but if there's any coaches out there who want to reach out and have advice, I mean, only 45,000 questions we did not get to today, but we'll try to share that information as much as possible. Where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I got a Instagram and a Twitter and a Facebook and, you know, my email, you know, all that stuff. I would be happy to do anything, doing a Zoom call like Saskia is with a couple of clubs back home. So anything that you guys need, it's a unique opportunity right now. So, you know, we're not in training. So you guys want to reach out and ask my opinion, ask any questions, whatever. Like, you know, Mike knows I'm very accessible and love just kind of hanging out and talking. And that's why I've kind of been keeping these people on Zoom and making them talk to me. So
yeah. By the way, I don't know what's going on. Is there people raking leaves over there?
It's not me.
No, I think it's
me put the earphones on.
No, it's not you. I think it might be on. I think it might be on Mitch's side since he's the one that's outside. Is someone raking leaves or something like that, or is that the wind? Maybe it's the wind.
Maybe it's the wind. I mean, yeah,
it's probably the wind. Yeah, it's probably the wind. All right. Oh, by the way, shout out.
You're hearing me communicate, not listening to the wind.
Yes, I'm listening to you. You're not talking. You're communicating.
You're about to hear my dogs communicate because they're all pissed off at me. Right?
By the way, shout out to some of these coaches that stepped in on this live session right now here that were watching this. We had some pretty big time people on here. Shout out to Stan Anderson, Camp Shutout. Obviously, he's
Stan. What's up, Stan?
Yeah, Stan's listening right now. Nathan Thackeray, goalkeeper coach in North Carolina Courage. He's been online. Andre Heiss, goalkeeper coach over at Brown University on the women's side. So shout out to all the big Eric Eisenhunt, GK Icon, who's been here. So again, guys, if you have any questions or topic suggestion, guest suggestion, or you have something that you'd like to talk about on the show, please feel free to reach out to contact at insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms, or Goalkeeper Pod on Twitter, though. That's a whole other story right there. And guys, again, like I said, you don't have to be a big time pro goalkeeper coach like Mitch here. I mean, you know, we love the fact that you're down to come on, but if you're a high school coach, if you've got a cool story or you got a cool topic that you really want to discuss and you got something that you're going to bring to the table, it's going to benefit the goalkeeping community, reach out to us, man. We're having some people coming on soon that are not big time people in that. I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean? Oh, all right. That was a terrible way to say it. That's a terrible. From different walks of life. How about that? Diverse.
The talking and the communicating.
How about a diversified lineup? How about that? Diversified lineup.
Okay. Communicate.
Love it.
And we also have some big time people lined up too. So
all right, on my side, everybody be smart, be safe, and take care of yourselves. All right.
Yes. All right, guys.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the more that we do, the faster we get back on the field. So everybody stay inside.
Yep.
Yeah. And Stan brought up a really good point. If you start posting sessions of yourself on the field training your keepers, those better be old sessions. Yeah. And let people know that those are old sessions so that people don't get the idea that you're out there training your kids right now. Yeah. All right, guys. That's all the time on Inside the 18. We are out, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
I'll see you guys.
All right. I'm going to end the live here.